There's fish. Oh, there you go. Cut my transducer cord. There we go, he's right at the bottom of the hole. Oh, that's a gorgeous fish. Hey, I'm Jake Romanack, and stick around. Hopefully we can get a few more gorgeous eater red lake walleyes just like this one.
Fishing 411 is brought to you by Offshore Tackle, your leader in trolling technology. Fishing 411 is brought to you by Offshore Tackle, your leader in trolling technology. Jay's Sporting Goods, trust in the tradition. Yakima Bait, home of the rooster tail. Cisco Fishing Systems, fish the finest. Northwest Ontario Tourism Association, there's no place like this. Starcraft Marine, America's oldest aluminum fishing boat line. Evinrude Outboards, introducing the all-new Evinrude E-Tech G2, the outboard of the future, available today. Maxima Fishing Lines, the right line every time. Also, these fine sponsors.
Missed. There's a fish. Whoa. There we go. There we go. Man, that's a gorgeous fish. What seems to be happening is a school of bait fish will come in, and shortly after, the walleyes follow. I marked the bait fish on my graph, and these bad boys are following it. We'll let this guy go back. So like I said before, we're on Upper Red Lake in northern Minnesota. Where exactly is Upper Red Lake? It's about 45 minutes south of Baudette, Minnesota. In fact, we're even staying in Baudette because Baudette is right on Lake of the Woods. There's so many amazing fisheries up here in northern Minnesota that we're gonna spend the week fishing a couple different fisheries.
We ended up fishing a place called Upper Red Lake, and a couple of people helped us out. First of all, Keith Cabayas from The Next Bite had told us that Red Lake was going to be a good walleye bite, and that was something that we needed to consider. And then we also hooked up at a place called Rogers Campground, and Brad Hawthorne there put us on some numbers that were outstanding. Great fishing, made our trip for us.
I'm actually using my sonar to mark fish. Now it's super important that I mark fish because what we're actually doing is we're enticing these fish to bite. When they actually come in, we're marking the fish, and then I'm actually working my spoon up in the water column. What that's doing is it's getting the fish excited, and I'm trying to make that fish work for the bite. The more excited I can get that fish, the better chance that I'm gonna actually hook that fish. And like I was saying before, these fish are following bait. When we get actually a group of bait come in, I'm marking them on my graph. And once they come in, it doesn't seem like it takes too terrible long. And we have walleye. Now this is just our first morning on Upper Red, but man, this has been a ton of fun. So let's break ice fishing for walleyes down into 3 main lure groups. There's a jigging spoon, which I'm using today. Then there's the swimming style lure, kind of like the jigging wrap or the chubby darter would fall into that category. And then there's your old-fashioned lead head jig. On any given day, those 3 lure groups are gonna put walleyes on the ice for you.
We got a nice bite going here this morning, and Oh, come on out of there, baby. That's a nice one. That's what I'm hoping for right there. Come here, baby. Now tell me what, if you're a walleye fisherman, tell me what, that is about as close to perfection as it gets for putting them on the table right there. That's what we're going to do today. We're going to tell you a little bit about how you can judge the activity level of fish so you can catch more walleyes like this and hopefully put them in your frying pan. I love it.
There's a fish. That's a nice looking fish right there. Let's get him up here. You know, we'll take a second and talk about my sonar. After you get used to using your sonar, you'll actually know when a fish is gonna bite. They act completely different than a fish that comes in your hole, maybe comes off bottom a little bit, comes and looks at your spoon, then goes away. This fish just rocketed off bottom. From the time I marked that fish to the time I caught this fish was maybe 3 seconds. But when that last fish came in, I knew right away that fish was gonna bite, just by the attitude of the fish. It came rocketing off bottom, chasing my spoon. You can't see that without sonar.
Additional considerations provided by Argo Amphibious ATV Extreme Terrain Vehicle Solutions. Additional considerations provided by Ontario's Algoma Country, That Real.
Hey, my name is Mark Romanack. Let's talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, ice fishing and ice fishing safety. When you're out on the ice, safety should be your #1 concern. Let's talk about some of the pieces of gear that I never leave home without. Start right here with this inflatable life jacket. This Mustang vest that I have on is lightweight, fits nicely over my clothing. If I do end up in the water, it's going to inflate and it's going to float me, could very well save my life. The next thing I want to talk about is the clothing that I'm wearing. This clothing that I have on today actually is insulated with closed cell foam. Now why is that important? Couple things. One, it gives me more buoyancy. It'll help me float if I end up in the water. Number two, it'll help insulate me if I end up in the water so I could survive in the water much, much longer. Now number three, how about one of these things? If you haven't got one of these in your gear, you might want to consider it. What is it? It's a throw rope that comes in a bag so it's never tangled up. If somebody were to fall in the, through a hole in the ice, what I can do is I can throw them a line, I can stay on safe ice, and I can pull them to safety. So a throw rope like this is always going to be ready, always going to get the job done for you. How about some other pieces of gear? And all this stuff is mandatory, and some of it's not very expensive. Like for example, these ice spikes, basically what they do is they just sit together like this, throw them in your tackle box, throw them in your coat pocket and keep them there. If you end up in the water, you can pull these things apart, take the spikes, jab them in the ice, and allow that to pull yourself to safe ice. This thing right here costs about $5. Could be the difference between life and death. And last but certainly not least, the ultimate piece of safety equipment is my Argo UTV. This particular vehicle is amphibious. What does that mean? If it breaks through, it's going to float. In fact, it's designed to float not 1, not 2, not 3, but up to 4 anglers is what it will support in the water. Compare that to other types of machines you would take out on the ice, like a snow machine or a quad or a side-by-side. They don't float. So the ultimate safety machine is the Argo. Mine's equipped with a winch, so if it goes through the ice, I can use the winch to get me back up on safe ice. Hey, my name is Mark Romanack. I hope you enjoyed this little conversation about ice safety. Be safe out on the ice, catch lots of fish, and check us out on fishing411.net.
There we go. Oh, it's tangled up in the transducer cord. This is actually a really nice fish. This is probably my biggest fish of the day. That's a gorgeous fish. Well, this is just another typical red lake walleye, just a gorgeous eating fish. You know, we're gonna get this fish back in the hole. Well, the way that I'm hooking my minnow up is actually, I'm hooking it right in the back of the head. The reason why I hook it in the back of the head is that's the stiffest part of the minnow. That's your best chance it's not gonna come flipping off while you're jigging. Then what I do is I go ahead and I pinch it about halfway down the body. What that does is it actually puts all the guts and all the blood, all that scent is what you're trying to do, is you're trying to get all that scent down there. You know, we've been marking bait all morning long. Actually, as you can see right here on the graph, And on this part of the graph, you can see that blue. What that blue is that's actually bait that's coming in the hole. Seems like all morning long when we'd start marking bait, shortly after, we'd start catching walleyes. Well, this is actually a little bit nicer fish. There we go. That one's gonna be a perfect eater, I think. You know, it's no real mystery why Upper Red Lake is such a good fishery. Minnesota does an awesome job of protecting their natural resources. Here at Upper Red Lake, you can only keep 3 fish. They have a strict slot limit between 17 and 26 inches. You can't keep, those fish have to go back. And they don't have a possession limit. What I mean by that is the fish that you catch, your 3 fish, are your fish. You can't go the next day and catch another 3 fish. You have to consume the fish that you catch before you can go ahead and catch another 3 fish. It would really be cool to see some of the other states follow suit.
Additional considerations provided by Lowrance Electronics. Find, navigate, dominate. Fishing 411 is also brought to you by Okuma, High Performance, and Mustang Survival. We save lives for a living.
Well, if you've never been ice fishing in Minnesota, you really have never been ice fishing. This place is so unique. Heck, it's frozen 6 months out of the year, so people around this part of the world get really acclimated to fishing on the ice. To make it comfortable, what they have is these wheelhouses. Now, what's a wheelhouse? A wheelhouse is a travel trailer that they drag out on the ice and they use it as an ice shanty. I'm not kidding. When you're here, you won't believe how many you see. Hundreds and hundreds of these wheelhouses scattered all over the landscape. Everybody in Minnesota ice fishes.
The ice fishermen in Minnesota are a breed all their own. Look at this piece of equipment. It has ice fishing written all over it. Hey, if you're looking for a destination to ice fish, Upper Red Lake is definitely the place to be. Even if you don't have your own gear, here at Rogers Campground, they have the facilities to be able to take you out on the ice and the gear to make you a successful angler. There's one down there. Come on, come on, come on. There he is. Man. Oh my goodness, there we go. Oh, now that's a beautiful perch. That is what we are out here to catch. Man, let's get him unhooked here real quick. We'll get him on the pile. And I want to talk about one of my favorite early season first ice perch fishing tactics. One of my favorite species of fish to catch on first ice are the yellow belly perch. They are the most aggressive fish and you can use an aggressive tactic to target them. What I mean by an aggressive tactic is actually lures that a lot of walleye fishermen use on the ice. Lures that dart out to the side and make a lot of rattle and a lot of noise. Kind of like the jigging wrap that I'm using today. There are a lot of different lures out there that are swimming, darting style lures. Like the chubby darter, the Lindy darter, the jigging shad wrap, and just like this jigging wrap that I'm using here. So the final piece of the puzzle is to downsize your lure. Fortunately, all these manufacturers make perch-sized lures. He come flying up and then just disappeared. Look how fast he came up. Oh, there he is. There you go. And this fish just came flying up. Get his head turned in the hole. You know, there is just a ton of ice here. And that's what makes Red Lake so special. You can actually ice fish here weeks, if not a month, before normal states can get out ice fishing. This body of water is just super impressive. We have the shelter up now. It's brutal cold out there. You're gonna get warmed up and maybe we'll flip the shelter back here in a second. But not a huge walleye, but I don't know how you could ask him to bite it any better than that. So let's talk about your basic walleye ice fishing setup. You want to make sure you have a rod that's relatively short. This one's only 28 inches. I like a little bit softer tip, but a stiff backbone. Then you go down to the reel. The reel that I use is a smaller ultralight style reel, maybe a 15. I wouldn't go any bigger than a 25 style reel. The line that I'm using is 8 to 10 pound test. This line right here is 8 pound test ultra green line. It's made by Maxima. It's one of the most abrasion resistant monofilament lines that I've ever used.
Additional considerations provided by Striker Brands. Give Mother Nature the cold shoulder. And Bait Rigs Tackle, America's innovator of fine fishing products. Fishing 411 is also brought to you by Fishhawk Electronics, featuring Fishhawk's Catch Fish Guarantee.
There's a fish. Oh, he's gonna be a perfect eater too. We'll let this guy go back. For this style of fishing, you just about have to have a shelter. There's all different kinds of shelters out there. I prefer the flip one. It not only keeps me mobile, but I can put it up as a windbreak, just like I have here. And then, now that it's getting a little bit colder, I can flip this bar down, flip it over, and I can warm up. Woo! Fish on! That's a better one. Pretty nice one. Oh yeah, that's a nice fish. He just inhaled it. Look at that. Man. That spoon is gone. And these are just super aggressive fish. Now that's not even that's probably 14-inch fish, not a giant by any stretch of imagination, but that's what Upper Red Lake is known for. A lot of eater-sized fish. We're gonna let this one go. Man, that was a ton of fun.
By and large, the lure of choice up here was jigging spoons. Jigging spoons seemed to work the best for us. We did catch some fish on other presentations, like leadhead jigs, for example. We caught a few. We caught some on jigging and swimmy style lures. But if you're going to come up to this part of the woods, you're going to do some walleye jigging, you definitely want to have a lot of jigging spoons. The Tingler spoon was a really good one for us. That was made by VMC. Also, the slender spoon was very good. The sidewinder spoon was also good. And you might also try the Do Jigger by Bait Knack Lures. Each and every one of those will catch your walleyes up here at Upper Red Lake.
What's going on here today is I see fish coming on the graph. Now, right now I can see a fish on the graph. I'm going to see if I can't jig aggressively, try to raise him up off bottom, see if I can give him the bite. I'm raising the bait up off bottom. He's not following. I'm going to drop back down to the bottom. Nope, there he was. Look at that. I dropped right back down on him and I got him to bite. So basically what I did is I took that fish and I teased him into biting. Now this one's too small to keep today. I'll put him right back down the hole. Go back down there. But the important lesson here is that what I was able to do is I was able to use the sonar to judge the activity level of that fish. He came right up off the bottom and he chased for a little bit and then he dropped back down to the bottom. I dropped back down to the bottom with him, bam, he hit it. It was an excellent opportunity for me to see that it looks like today the bite's going to be good, and an active jigging lure like this jigging wrap that I have on here is going to be a good choice today.
There we go. You know, tip-up fishing is a very effective method. I like to actually call it the planer board fishing of ice fishing. Let's see, pull tight on him here. Oh, there he is. A tip-up used the right way can land a lot of your fish. Man, that's a gorgeous walleye right there. Great eater-sized fish. Using tip-up successfully all starts with the style line that you're going to use. After I have my tip-up line on, I want to be sure not to rig my hook straight to the tip-up line. So what I do is I actually put a fluorocarbon leader on. I tie a ball bearing swivel down to the fluorocarbon leader. Depending on the style of fish you catch, the pound test of the leader will vary. But here for these smaller walleyes, about 8-pound test fluorocarbon seems to be working well. Tied onto my fluorocarbon leader, I'm going to put a number 6 treble hook on. Right above that, I'm going to have a split shot, maybe about a foot above that. I want to make sure the split shot isn't far down next to the hook because I want to keep that clear leader in front. How I hook the minnow is very important as well. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put the treble hook right in the middle of the back of the minnow. What that's going to do is it's going to make that minnow sit horizontal in the water, how a minnow would actually sit in the water. I already have my depth predetermined, and I actually do that by after I find my depth, I take another split shot and I put it where I want it to go. That way, when I catch a fish and it pulls out line, the next time I can re-put a new minnow on, reel up to this split shot, set it back in the hole, and I'm fishing. It's a lot slicker method, so you don't have to find the depth every single fish. There's a fish. Oh, just popped off. That's all right. That's all right. We've had a lot of opportunities today. You know, if you're from, you know, Michigan, Wisconsin, you know, wherever you're at around the ice belt, you really owe it to yourself to come over here to Upper Red Lake in northern Minnesota. I'm telling you, this has just been a riot today. I probably caught or hooked more walleyes this morning than I might catch all season long back home in Michigan. It's been just an absolute riot catching these fish.
Closed captioning is provided by Orca Coolers, built for everyday use and total abuse. Fishing 411 is brought to you by Offshore Tackle, your leader in trolling technology. Jay's Sporting Goods, trust in the tradition. Yakima Bait, home of the rooster tail. Cisco Fishing Systems, fish the finest. Northwest Ontario Tourism Association, there's no place like this. Starcraft Marine, America's oldest aluminum fishing boat line. Evinrude Outboards, introducing the all-new Evinrude E-Tech G2, the outboard of the future, available today. Maxima Fishing Lines, the right line every time.
So the final piece of the puzzle is to downsize your lures. Fortunately, all these manufacturers have perch-sized virgins. I don't know.
Try that one again.